What if I told you that the angels in Revelation aren't just messengers? They're acting as priests, carrying out God's judgment with the same authority that Moses had in Egypt. And what if I told you that the saints in heaven are priests too, singing, worshiping, and standing in awe as God's wrath unfolds across the entire world? Everything that you've experienced on the earth, like deliverance, healing, even miracles, it's all temporary. Powerful as it feels, one day it will pass. But God is preparing you for something far greater, a role in his eternal plan, where worship, service, and priestly authority last forever. In today's video, we're diving into Revelation 15 and uncovering the role of angels, saints, and answering questions like, what is the sea of glass mixed with fire? And what is the temple like in heaven? And what you discover today will change how you see your life, your faith, and eternity itself. Revelation 15 is often overlooked as just a simple prelude to the final 7 bowls of judgment. But John's vision is anything but simple. This chapter presents a heavenly sanctuary filled with God's glory, where angels and saints converge into a divine moment of worship and preparation. Think about it. God's final judgments are imminent, yet they're here before the plagues even begin. The scene is already one of awe-inspiring holiness. This chapter actually draws heavily from the Exodus story. Just as God revealed his glory and executed judgment on Egypt through Moses, here we see angels poised to carry out God's justice in the final days. And yet the saints themselves are present, singing, worshiping, and participating in the unfolding drama. John is showing us a cosmic template. Worship and judgment are inseparably intertwined. But why does John include the saints at this moment? And why show human participation alongside angelic execution? This scene is not merely descriptive, it's theological. It emphasizes that the plan of God involves both divine execution and human witness, both priestly activity and worship. And notice the details. This sanctuary, it says, is filled with smoke. The glory of God is shining through it. From an ancient Israelite perspective, smoke signified God's presence in the tabernacle. No one could enter because his holiness is overwhelming. John's vision shows us that the forthcoming judgment is not arbitrary. It emerges from the very heart of God's holiness and glory. But still we have this question. What does this temple imagery, the smoke, and the filled temple really tell us about the judgment that's to come? Keep watching. We're going to dive deeper into this in just a few moments. The 7 angels in Revelation 15 carry the 7 last plagues. They're not ordinary messengers. They act as priests, executing God's wrath with precision and holiness. This imagery intentionally mirrors Moses' role in Egypt, who carried out God's judgment on Pharaoh and his land. John here is telling us that God's justice is deliberate, priestly, and it's perfectly aligned with his holiness and will. One scholar notes that the 7 angels are portrayed as priests who mediate God's wrath, paralleling the priestly functions in the Old Testament. Notice how this scene elevates the angels beyond just mere messengers. They're participants in worship, even as they carry out judgment. Their priestly role is twofold. First, to execute the divine will of God with authority, and second, to mediate the awe-inspiring holiness of God to the cosmos. So imagine this. Angels standing ready. God's wrath is about to be unleashed, yet it's still ordered, yet it's still precise, and yet it's still holy. So this mirrors a deeper truth. Judgment and worship are inseparable in God's justice. The angel's priestly role shows us that divine execution is always grounded in the holiness and order of God's plan. And if angels act as priests executing judgment, how does this connect to the saints, to the 144,000 who are also depicted as priests? We'll explore that next. And if you want to go even deeper, I've created a concise prophetic ebook that unlocks the secrets of the 144,000. It reveals the hidden patterns in Revelation and understanding to align your life with God's end time plan. And you can find the link to get your copy in the description box below. Revelation 15, 2-4 introduces the victorious saints, it says, singing the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. The song of Moses remembers God delivering Israel from Egypt, and the song of the Lamb celebrates Christ's ultimate victory. Together, these songs unite the old and the new covenants, creating a symphony of redemption that echoes through eternity. So these saints are just not passive observers. They act as priests in heaven. In the Old Testament, priest mediated between God and his people. But here, the redeemed are participating in God's cosmic plan, witnessing his judgment and offering worship. They're living instruments of divine praise and testimony. One scholar notes that the Song of Moses and the Song of the Lamb reflects the continuity between the Old and New covenants, celebrating God's deliverance through them both. Imagine seeing the sea of glass mixed with fire and knowing that the wrath of God is about to fall. Yet you join the chorus of praise. Fear, awe, joy, and reverence collide in one moment. This is priesthood in its most profound sense, participating fully in God's plan. The dual priesthood, angels executing judgment, humans offering worship, emphasizes God's cosmic order, where judgment and praise exist side by side. And notice this, that John mentions both songs deliberately. He's drawing a line from the Exodus to the victory in Christ. What is the deeper connection between God's deliverance in Egypt and the end times victory? I'm going to answer that next. Revelation 15, 5-8 depicts the heavenly temple filled with the glory of God. In Hebrew, it's called the kavod. Smoke rises that's reminiscent of the Old Testament tabernacle, where no one could enter because God's glory was too great. Here, John emphasizes that judgment flows from a place of perfect holiness. The temple in heaven is filled with God's glory that signifies his absolute holiness and the sanctity of that space. The smoke, the light, the overwhelming presence, these aren't just visual effects. They're supernatural markers. They tell us that the judgments that are about to be poured out are not just normal. They're acts of vengeance. They emanate from the holiness, glory, and justice of God himself. And the saints, the redeemed priest, they are positioned to witness, to worship, and to testify. This scene establishes the cosmic order of God's plan. Angels acting as priests, humans acting as priests, both offering worship to God, and God's glory presides over them all. And yet the scene becomes even more mysterious. John mentions a sea of glass mingled or mixed with fire. What does this represent? From an ancient Israelite perspective, it actually has profound meaning. Revelation 15:2 describes the sea of glass mingled with fire. This actually recalls the molten sea of Solomon's temple. It was a basin used for ritual purification. But here, the addition of the fire transforms it. The glass reflects the purity and stillness, and the fire reflects God's holiness and judgment. And together they symbolize a purified space where sin is confronted and only the faithful may stand. Another scholar notes that the sea of glass mingled with fire represents a purified space where judgment and holiness converge. Standing there, the saints witness God's judgment, yet they are purified and protected, while the angels execute God's wrath. The redeemed people sing in victory, and the glory of God fills the sanctuary. Both angels and humans, we know, serve God as priests. This dual priesthood emphasizes God's cosmic truth. Worship and judgment are inseparable. The reality here is that judgment is coming. The unrepentant will face God's wrath, but the repentant, the redeemed, they'll stand among angels and participate in priestly worship, declaring God's faithfulness, holiness, and sovereignty. This is priesthood elevated to a heavenly level. Believers are actively participating in God's mission. Revelation 15 shows us both a vision of God's divine power and heavenly worship. All converge to reveal God's holiness, justice, and redemptive plan. God's glory and his plans will unfold before all creation. And don't forget to grab your prophetic ebook, revealing the hidden truths of the 144,000 and the insights you need to align yourself with God's end time plan. The link is in the description box below. Subscribe and watch this video next, and I'll see you there.